Is the 2025 NFL season playoffs or bust for Kyler Murray, or playoffs or you're out of town, according to analysts and insiders? It is. Bo Brack, Johnny Venerable, PHNX Cardinals. Subscribe to PHNX Sports here on YouTube. Like this video. Johnny, we listened to Albert Breer, who we feel is dialed in to the Cardinals organization, and his MMQB colleague, Connor Orr. And they had this conversation, and all signs, according to them, are pointing towards Cardinals need to make the playoffs this upcoming season, or that's the end of the Kyler Murray tenure.
Yeah, it's interesting. You watch the clip, which I encourage everybody to check out. It's well thought out by Connor and Breer.
Nuanced.
Yeah, it is. And it's not an aggressive stance. Connor's like looking at the Cardinal roster, and he's like, this should be a playoff team. And it's what we echo every day here on PHNX Cardinals, 4:30 Mountain Times. Like, Cardinals should be a playoff team, right? If they don't make the playoffs, if they don't win 10 games, what are the optics of it, right? Because I don't think you can sit here and say, like, playoffs or bust, or they're trading Kyler Murray. What happens if Kyler Murray, like, balls out and they win 10 games, they don't make the playoffs? So you're not getting rid of Kyler Murray then. I think it's like the offense has to progress. You can't go backwards, certainly, from a stagnant unit last year. And the team has to win more marquee, big-ticket games, a la the Seahawks games last year that they didn't win, the Vikings game, the Washington game, the Packer game. Like, win those games. Like, we'll be able to take stock in, like, the season as a whole and say Kyler Murray was good or not this year. Like, turn your brain on, watch the games every Sunday. That's the beauty of the NFL. We're not box score scouting.
Right.
And if he doesn't play well, then they're probably going to have to find somebody else, realistically speaking. They probably can move off of him and get a decent draft pick and some cap relief, which, by the way, they don't need. I see a lot of people saying you got to get the money off the books. You don't. You can roll in to 2026 with Kyler Murray, even if he's a little bit underwhelming, and be fine financially. But it's about, like, this roster is in a position to win double-digit games, to compete for a playoff spot, to win playoff games. Like, that has to be on the mind of everybody. And if it's not, and if Kyler Murray's at the root cause of it, then yeah, like we were saying at this past offseason that they wanted to add a quarterback they could have. They chose not to.
Most of the time, in the cases of rebuilds, year 3 is the pivotal season. It's where you learn the most about, the changes that you made, whether it's in the front office or the head coaching spot, and reshaping your roster. And that's understandable here. These aren't hot takes. They aren't like, hey, it's year 7 for Kyler Murray and he just was win football games. It's just all signs. Everything has kind of reached this crossroads to where if the Cardinals fall short of the playoffs, you have to figure out what went wrong, right? And as they looked at it, as they kind of read the tea leaves here as far as the 2025 Cardinals, how they've stocked this roster, as you've pointed out, 28 draft picks accumulated by Monty Osfort and high draft capital, right? I mean, a bunch of first rounders on this. And what they've done as far as getting it in place to have success at this point. So you see a revamped defense where the expectation is they're going to be a lot better, and you're just better across the board. If they fall short of expectations, what is the burden of the quarterback position? You have to kind of wear that. And I think Kyler Murray at this stage in his career, like what everybody else wants to find out is he the guy or not? They want to have that answer, I think, by the end of this year. And if they miss the playoffs, it's just reasonable to think, hey, maybe he didn't play well enough to get there.
I also just want to add, like, okay, say you move off of Kyler Murray, you trade him before the league year starts, like, then what, right? It's like,
right.
Cardinals, we feel like, are going to be picking in the back half of the first round. Hell, they did it this past year. Like, are you giving up draft capital, go up into the top 10, mortgaging your future on a rookie that, Sam Levitt's great. Like, I think Sam Levitt's going to be a top 5 pick. Cardinals can't get into the top 5. And then it's like, okay, well, look at the free agent quarterbacks this past year. You want to be the Pittsburgh Steelers signing Aaron Rodgers in the month of June. You want to be talking yourself into Russell Wilson, God forbid, on his 4th team in how many years? You want to have a conversation about, Kenny Pickett or Kirk Cut. Like, those are the conversations of these teams every year. Cleveland and the Giants. It's like, I don't want to live that life. Like, Kyler Murray would probably be the best. He would be the best, like, free agent quarterback available. So you're trading him away for a 3rd round pick to basically water down the position. Like, the smart thing to do, in my opinion, is to not worry about the money, because the money's, it's fine. It's manageable. and draft an heir apparent and ride this out until you develop a rookie. That was why I made the argument this year. Like, if they loved Jalen Milroe, go draft Jalen Milroe and sit him for a year. That's what I would do, or what I would have done.
It's an interesting debate to have, and most of the time it's the doom and gloom, the catastrophe side of this that's discussed. What's it look like moving off? While as we approach the 2025 season, there's a ton of confidence that Kyler Murray is going to be the guy. Within with all the powers that be, including our podcast, thinking that he's going to be able to take a step. He's finally probably in the best spot he's ever been career-wise to have success at the NFL level. You see the skill set. If something does get in the way once again in 2025, then that's just going to, be even, more evidence that it's time to move on. But there is a ton of confidence that he can be the guy. It's just, people at this point are having those discussions, debates, because here we are right now going in the year 7 with not a whole lot to show for it.
Can I also just add too, the Cardinals roster isn't going to hell in a handbasket in 2026. It's just going to get better. This is not an all-in season where you're acquiring old players, JJ Watt and AJ Green and Rodney Hudson. The Rams are going all in, Devontae Adams to go with an aging Matthew Stafford. The Cardinals aren't doing that. Their young players are some of their best players, Sands, Budda Baker, and James Conner. It's this is a young team with a lot of young star power on the cusp, right? Trey McBride is now entering his prime. Super high on Marvin Harrison Jr., Walter Nolan, Darius Robinson. These players, Paris Johnson Jr., they're not going anywhere. So it's Kyler Murray, even if he's slightly above average again, Alex Smith has been to NFC championship games. Daniel Jones has won a playoff game. Just if you don't feel and they'll take stock of it in January. The biggest indictment is if he misses time, because you can't defend that. That's indefensible. Well, he didn't miss any time last year. So if he puts back-to-back 17-game, seasons on his resume, and he's better than last year, we don't think he's going to be worse. They're not just pivoting off of that. Where they could pivot off of it, and we would have a tough time, rationalizing the opposite, is Kyler Murray missed half the season this year. Wasn't reliable, ran around, tore his hamstring, God forbid, tweaked his quad, wasn't it? Well, then we got real problems. But if he's playing and the team's viable and in it, the Seahawks just moved off of Geno Smith, and they have been living that life for 4 or 5 years. But why did that happen? Well, they switched their head coach, and the new guy after a year wanted his own guy, and they didn't draft Geno Smith, right? They signed him as a free agent. Cardinals have invested a lot. Gannon and Austin Ford, while they didn't draft Kyler Murray, are super committed to him, especially JG. We know how close they are. It would take either a catastrophic season statistically, pick sixes, something he's never shown to be prevalent in doing, or he would have to miss time. Otherwise, I think there's a better than 75% chance he's their quarterback next year.
So playoffs or bust. I mean, if this team is you may bring up Seattle, they take a gigantic leap of faith, move off of Geno Smith. They sign kind of the bridge quarterback in Sam Darnold. If the Cardinals take an incremental step, Kyler Murray's part of that success, but it's not overwhelming, and you can just say, hey, Kyler Murray was a big part of that, and you're still kind of in that middle ground. Where do we go? Where does this organization go? Because that doesn't become the ultimatum of you make the playoffs or you're on a one-way ticket out of here.
I think they draft a quarterback maybe next spring. I think it's what we talked about. Maybe they consider doing this year. Maybe it's a year later. But Joe Blow from Texas Tech or wherever in the second or third round is probably a bad example of a school to use. Isn't
a skill set.
Isn't pushing Kyler Murray for a job in 2026. It is such a hopeless reality as an NFL fan to cut loose with a quarterback that's stable for the unknown, right? The best franchises have a succession plan. This franchise has earned a succession plan with JG and Austin Ford. So you keep Kyler Murray until you have a better option. That is you would have to be staunchly opposed to Kyler Murray, the person and the player, to not want to do that. And there's nothing but the opposite approach from the head coach. So it's he's not a bad person. He's a great teammate. He played all 17 games. He's productive. People want him to be more productive as the first overall pick. I understand that. We discuss it daily on this podcast. Go get somebody else to work behind him until that person is ready or not ready. But like, if you cut bait with Kyler Murray before free agency next year and you didn't make the playoffs, you're basically telling your GM and your head coach, like, this whole thing could be blown up in a year. That's not the message they want.
Yeah. I mean, it puts an immense amount of probably unnecessary pressure on the powers that put together this and created the infrastructure to have sustainable success, with different players at different positions all across the roster, not just quarterback. So it put an immense amount of pressure on Monty Ossenfort, Jonathan Gannon to find the next guy on the fly, just kind of taking that leap of faith that we've seen around the league. And sometimes it's necessary, but a lot of signs are pointing towards success from Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals in 2025. But what are your thoughts? Is it playoffs or bust? Drop a comment. Let us know. Leave a like on this video and subscribe to PHNX Sports.